Here is a long, original fictional story inspired by the dramatic and prophetic title, Chosen Ones. God has decided it is time for the truth to be revealed. It weaves together themes of divine calling, hidden truths, spiritual awakening, trials, and ultimate revelation. Chosen Ones, the veil falls. In the quiet coastal city of Eldhaven, where fog rolled in from the sea like whispered secrets, lived a woman named Ilara Voss. She was 34, a librarian by trade, and by temperament, someone who preferred the company of old books to people. Her days were measured in the soft turn of pages and the faint scent of aged paper. But for as long as she could remember, something inside her had felt misplaced. Like a key without a lock, like a song she could hear but never quite sing. Ilara had dreams that weren't dreams. They came in sharp fragments, golden light pouring through cracks in the sky, voices speaking in a language older than time, and always a single recurring image, a massive stone door carved with symbols she had never studied yet somehow knew by heart. In the dreams, she stood before that door, hand outstretched, trembling, and every time, just as her fingers brushed the stone, the world would shatter into blinding white. She told no one. Who would believe her? Her only friend, Marcus, an aging fisherman with salt-crusted hands and a laugh like rolling thunder, would have teased her gently and then offered her tea. Her estranged sister, Lydia, would have called it another episode and reminded her to take her medication. So Ilara kept silent. She buried the dreams beneath routines and polite smiles. But the dreams grew louder. One winter night in January, when the wind howled like something alive, Ilara woke at 3:17 a.m. with her heart hammering. This time, the dream had been different. The door had opened, just a sliver, and a voice, calm and ancient as mountains, had spoken directly into her soul. It is time. The truth has waited long enough. Gather the others. The veil is thinning. She sat up in bed, sweating despite the cold. The words echoed in her chest like a second heartbeat. She didn't know what they meant, but she felt them like gravity, like something inevitable pulling her forward. The next morning, everything changed. At the library, an old man she had never seen before approached the counter. He wore a faded gray coat, too large for his thin frame, and his eyes were the color of storm clouds. He placed a small leather-bound book on the desk, no title, no author, only a single symbol etched in gold on the cover, the same symbol from her dreams. "I believe this belongs to you," he said quietly. I've never seen this before." "You have," he replied, "many times, in sleep, in silence, in the moments you felt most alone." He leaned closer. "You are not the only one who hears the call, Ilara. There are others, 7 in total, the chosen, and God has decided it is time for the truth to be revealed." Her breath caught. Chosen. The word felt ridiculous, sacred, terrifying. Before she could speak, he turned and left. The book remained. That evening, she opened it. The pages were blank until they weren't. Words appeared as if written in light, forming a list of names and places. Marcus Hale, Eldhaven Docks. Lydia Voss, New Haven General Hospital. Father Elias Thorne, St. Augustine's Cathedral. Dr. Sana Khalil, University Observatory. Jamal Reyes, the old lighthouse keeper. Mira Chen, street artist downtown. And finally, Ilara Voss, Central Library. Her own name stared back at her. Over the next 3 days, she found them one by one. Marcus confessed he'd had the same dreams for years, but thought it was guilt over his late wife's death. Lydia, the pragmatic doctor, admitted she'd seen flashes of golden light during night shifts and dismissed them as fatigue. Father Elias spoke of visions during prayer, of a door he was meant to unlock. Sana, the astrophysicist, had recorded strange cosmic pulses that matched the rhythm of her heartbeat in dreams. Jamal had carved the symbol into the lighthouse railing without knowing why. Mira's murals, always hidden doorways and falling veils, had begun appearing unbidden on city walls. They were strangers, yet they recognized each other instantly, like pieces of the same shattered mirror finally finding their edges. They met in the basement of St. Augustine's Cathedral, beneath the flickering light of old candles. Father Elias led them in prayer. No one knew exactly what to expect, but they felt it, the air thickening, the temperature dropping, the sense that something vast was listening. Then the dreams came to them all at once, shared, vivid. They saw it together, a war in heaven long ago. Not the cartoonish battle of angels and demons most imagined, but a fracture in creation itself. Truth had been sealed away to protect humanity from its full weight. Knowledge of their origin, their purpose, the invisible threads connecting every soul. The seal had been placed by divine decree, guarded by the chosen of each generation. But the seal was weakening. Darkness had learned to exploit the cracks, lies had multiplied, division had spread like rot, and now God had lifted the decree. "The time of protection is over," the voice declared in their shared vision. "The truth must be faced. You were chosen not because you are perfect, but because you have endured, you have questioned, you have refused easy answers. You will carry the revelation, not as a weapon, but as a light." When they awoke on the cold stone floor, tears streamed down every face. They understood. The truth was not a single secret, it was many. That every person carried a spark of the divine, but most had forgotten. That suffering was never punishment, but a forge. That love, real, sacrificial love, was the only force strong enough to mend what had been broken. That the end of the age was not destruction, but unveiling. And that they, ordinary and flawed as they were, had been entrusted to speak it. The days that followed were chaos and wonder. Mira painted the truth across city walls in colors no one could ignore. Sana broadcast the cosmic patterns on open frequencies, drawing seekers from distant places. Jamal lit the lighthouse beacon every night, a steady pulse signaling you are not alone. Lydia healed bodies while whispering hope to souls. Marcus ferried the weary across the bay to safety. Father Elias opened the cathedral doors wider than ever before. And Ilara wrote. She wrote the story not as fiction, but as testimony. Word by word, she poured out what they had seen. Not everyone listened. Many mocked. Some attacked. Shadows gathered. People driven by fear, by power, by the old lies that kept the world comfortable and blind. But the chosen did not fight with fists or fury. They simply stood in the light they carried. And slowly, impossibly, others began to see. One night, months later, Ilara stood again before the stone door from her dreams. This time, it was real. Manifested on a cliff overlooking the sea, glowing softly under moonlight. The others stood with her. She placed her hand on the stone. It opened fully. Beyond was not darkness, but radiance, a garden of impossible colors, faces of the forgotten, truths too beautiful to speak in words. And a voice, gentle now, said, "Well done, my faithful ones. The veil is torn. Let the world see." They stepped through, not to leave the earth, but to bring heaven's clarity back into it. The door closed behind them, but the light remained. And in Eldhaven and in cities far beyond, people began waking from long sleep. They felt the pull, they heard the whisper, they remembered who they truly were. Chosen, not one or seven, but many.
because God had decided it was time for the truth to be revealed. And once revealed, it could never be hidden again.
In the shadowed embrace of Eldhaven, a coastal city where the sea whispered ancient secrets to the jagged cliffs, the fog clung like a reluctant lover, veiling the world in mystery. It was here, amid the salt-kissed air and the ceaseless rhythm of waves crashing against weathered docks, that Ilara Voss had carved out her existence. At 34, she was the epitome of quiet resilience, a librarian whose days unfolded in the hushed aisles of the Central Library, surrounded by towers of forgotten tomes. Her life was a tapestry of solitude, mornings spent cataloging dusty volumes, afternoons lost in the pages of epic tales, and evenings alone in her modest apartment overlooking the harbor. Yet beneath this veneer of normalcy lurked a profound disquiet, a sense that she was adrift in a narrative not her own. Ilara's dreams had always been her tormentors. They weren't mere nocturnal wanderings, but vivid incursions into another realm. Night after night, she found herself before a colossal stone door, its surface etched with intricate symbols that pulsed with an inner light. These runes spoke to her in a language she couldn't name, evoking memories that weren't hers, fragments of celestial battles, whispers of divine decrees, and a pervasive ache of something sealed away. In these visions, her hand would reach out, fingers trembling, only for the door to resist, shattering the dream into a cascade of blinding shards. She awoke each time gasping, her heart a frantic drum, convinced that the boundary between sleep and reality was fraying. She confided in no one. Her only confidant, Marcus Hale, was a grizzled fisherman in his late 50s, with hands calloused from years of hauling nets and a voice roughened by the sea's roar. Marcus had been her neighbor since childhood, a surrogate father after her parents' untimely death in a storm. He would chuckle at her fancies, brew her strong tea laced with honey, and regale her with tales of the ocean's moods. Then there was her sister, Lydia Voss, 2 years her senior, a no-nonsense ER doctor at New Haven General Hospital, 30 miles inland. Lydia, with her sharp intellect and unwavering skepticism, would dismiss such dreams as symptoms of stress or unresolved grief, prescribing rest or pills. So Ilara buried her visions deep, layering them under routines and forced normalcy until they simmered like a storm on the horizon. But storms inevitably break. It began on a frigid January night in 2026 when the wind howled through Eldhaven like a harbinger of change. Ilara bolted upright in bed at precisely 3:17 a.m., her sheets damp with sweat despite the chill seeping through her window. This dream had transcended the others. The stone door loomed larger, its symbols glowing with urgency. As her hand touched the cold surface, a crack appeared, not in the stone, but in the fabric of her reality. Golden light seeped through, and a voice resonated not in her ears, but in the marrow of her bones, ancient, resonant, and irrefutable. "It is time. The truth has waited eons in shadow. Gather the others, for the veil is thinning. You are the chosen, and God has decreed, revelation shall dawn." The words lingered like an echo in a vast cavern, imprinting themselves on her soul. She stumbled to her kitchen, flicking on the light with shaking hands, and scribbled them down on a scrap of paper. What truth? What others? The questions swirled, but so did a strange certainty. This was no delusion. This was summons. The following morning, the library felt different. The air hummed with unspoken energy as patrons shuffled in, shaking off the mist. Ilara was reshelving books on ancient mythology when an elderly man approached the counter. He was unremarkable at first glance, frail, clad in a threadbare gray coat that hung loosely on his frame, his eyes a stormy gray that seemed to hold tempests. Without a word, he placed a small leather-bound volume before her. No title adorned its cover, only a single golden symbol, the very one from her dreams, a swirling glyph that evoked infinity and origin. "This is yours," he said, his voice a gravelly whisper that carried the weight of ages. Ilara's pulse quickened. "I don't understand. Who are you? How did you—" "You've seen it before," he interrupted gently. "In the quiet hours when the world sleeps and the soul awakens. You are not alone in this calling, Ilara Vos. There are 7 marked by the divine, the chosen ones. And now God has decided it is time for the truth to be revealed. The seal weakens, the shadows stir. Find them, open the door." Before she could demand answers, he vanished into the fog-shrouded streets, leaving the book like a gauntlet thrown. That evening, in the dim glow of her lamp, Ilara opened it. At first, the pages were blank, yellowed parchment mocking her curiosity. But as she traced the symbol with her finger, words bloomed like ink in water, ethereal script forming a list. Marcus Hale, Eldhaven Docks, the one who hears the sea's confessions. Lydia Voss, New Haven General Hospital, the healer who mends flesh but questions the spirit. Father Elias Thorne at St. Augustine's Cathedral, the shepherd who guards forgotten prayers. Dr. Sana Khalil at University Observatory, the stargazer who maps heavens unseen. Jamal Reyes at Old Lighthouse, the watcher who pierces the night. Mira Chen at Downtown Streets, the artist who paints prophecies on walls. Ilara Vos at Central Library, the keeper of stories, awakener of truths. Her name at the end sent a chill down her spine. This was no coincidence, it was orchestration. Driven by an inexplicable compulsion, Ilara set out to find them. Her first stop was the docks, where Marcus was mending nets under a leaden sky. His weathered face lit up at her approach, but his smile faded as she described the dream in the book. To her astonishment, he nodded slowly, his eyes distant. "I've had 'em too, lass," he confessed, his voice low. "Dreams of a door, calling me. Thought it was the ghost of my Mary, lost at sea 20 years back. Blamed it on grief, on the whiskey. But lately, it's louder, like the ocean's trying to tell me something bigger." Together they drove to New Haven. Lydia was in the midst of a hectic shift, her scrubs stained with the day's battles. When Ilara pulled her aside in the sterile hallway, Lydia's initial scoff turned to wide-eyed silence as Ilara recited the voice's words. "I've seen lights," Lydia admitted reluctantly. "During surgeries, when patients hover between life and death. Golden flashes, like guidance. I ignored it, called it exhaustion. But it's real, isn't it?" Father Elias was next, found in the echoing nave of St. Augustine's, a Gothic cathedral perched on Eldhaven's highest hill. The priest, in his 60s with a mane of silver hair, listened intently, his hands clasped around a worn rosary. "Visions in prayer, a door of stone, symbols of the old covenant. I've felt the call for decades, but now it's insistent. Divine timing, my child." Dr. Sana Khalil, a brilliant astrophysicist at the University Observatory, was buried in data when they arrived. Her dark eyes sparkled with recognition as Ilara showed the book. "Cosmic anomalies," Sana explained excitedly. "Pulses from deep space, syncing with my dreams. I've charted them, rhythms matching ancient prophecies. This isn't science fiction, it's convergence." Jamal Reyes, the reclusive lighthouse keeper, greeted them in his isolated tower with suspicion, but the symbol softened his guard. "Carved it into the beam last year," he grunted, pointing to the railing. "Didn't know why. Dreams told me to watch. Something's coming." Finally, Mira Chen, a vibrant street artist in her 20s, was spray painting a mural downtown. a veiled doorway cracking open to reveal light. She dropped her can when Alara approached. "I've been drawing this for months," Mira said, breathless. "It comes to me in bursts, like I'm channeling something holy." The seven gathered that night in the cathedral's basement, a vaulted chamber lit by flickering candles that cast dancing shadows on stone walls. Father Elias led a simple rite, invoking protection. As they joined hands in a circle, the air grew heavy, charged with electricity. Then, as one, the dreams enveloped them, not individually, but collectively. In this shared vision, they soared through epochs. They witnessed the primordial fracture, a celestial schism where divine truth was veiled to shield nascent humanity from its overwhelming radiance. Knowledge of origins, humanity's spark from the eternal flame, the interconnected web of souls, the purpose woven into every trial, was sealed behind the stone door. Guardians, the chosen of each era, had maintained the veil, for revelation too soon would shatter fragile minds. But now, in an age of rampant deception, where shadows of division and despair multiplied, the divine had intervened. "The era of concealment ends," the voice thundered, warm yet inexorable. "You are chosen not for flawlessness, but for your scars, for enduring doubt, for seeking light in darkness. Bear the truth. Every soul is divine kin. Suffering forges strength. Love bridges all. The veil tears. Let revelation heal." They awoke sprawled on the floor, weeping in catharsis. The truths unfolded like petals, humanity's forgotten unity, the redemptive arc of pain, the boundless power of compassion. No apocalyptic doom, but an awakening. In the months that followed, Eldhaven transformed. Mira's murals bloomed across the city, vivid depictions of the door and its light, drawing crowds who felt stirred souls. Sana published her findings, her observatory becoming a hub for seekers, broadcasting signals that resonated globally. Jamal's lighthouse pulsed nightly, a beacon syncing with heartbeats worldwide, signaling unity. Lydia integrated the truths into her healing, whispering hope amid medical miracles. Marcus ferried pilgrims across the bay, sharing sea-born wisdom. Father Elias flung open the cathedral, hosting gatherings where faiths intertwined. Ilara chronicled it all, her library evolving into a sanctuary of revelation. She penned volumes, not as dogma, but as invitations to remember. Opposition arose. Skeptics derided them as cultists. Power brokers fearing upheaval spread smears. Shadows, manifestations of ancient doubts, whispered temptations. Doubt, division, despair. The chosen faced trials, Mira's arrest for vandalism, Sana's funding cuts, Jamal's isolation storms. But they persevered, their bond unbreakable. One fateful night under a full moon, they converged at the cliffs. The stone door materialized, tangible and immense, symbols aglow. United, they touched it. It swang open to a realm of luminous gardens where truths danced as living entities, faces of ancestors, threads of fate, boundless love. "Well done," the voice affirmed. "The truth is free. Carry it forth." They returned transformed, the door vanishing, but its essence infusing the world. Eldhaven awoke, ripples spread, cities stirred, hearts mended, divisions bridged. The chosen weren't saviors, but sparks. For God had decreed, the time of revelation had come, and in its light, all were chosen. The veil, once torn, revealed eternity in every moment.